All right, we're ready.
Okay. As a prelude to this, I feel it necessary to let the reader know some of my recollections may not be totally accurate, and some of the dates and certain events may be flawed as well. In defense, all I can say is that age 81, which included a lot of alcohol along the way, a lot of brain cells have been damaged. I was born February 14th, 1933, at the Lutheran Hospital in Watertown, South Dakota. The population at that time was around 10,000. My parents were Phyllis and Clifford Turnquist. I was a premature baby delivered during my mother's 7 months of pregnancy.
Wow.
I had a brother, Richard, 1 year older than I. When I was about 5 years old, Mom had another baby, her first girl named Marilyn. At that time, we lived in the western part of Watertown, South Dakota, in a very small house. I remember my days there as being full of discovery, fun, and love. My father worked at Kalmanson's men's clothing store at the time. My most, by most standards, we were fairly poor, but it never seemed that way to me. Every family in our neighborhood was about the same as ours. This was also during the Great Depression, so there were a lot of families really down on their luck at the time, but I don't remember really being conscious of any of it one way or the other. We always had everything a family needed, it seemed to me. Just about every family in our neighborhood was in the same economic circumstances. We always had a garden, which was a family affair during planting and harvesting time. There was always more than enough to eat. My playmates at that time were mostly the kids who lived next door or across the street. The Waba family comes first to my mind. Mr. Waba worked at the Swift's packing plant in town, and he was also a very good baseball player. Everyone called him Zip. I never did know his real first name. His son Dale became my very best friend of mine and my brother. Those childhood days were full of fun and discovery. There was a creek nearby, which is where we spent a lot of time splashing around in the summer, sliding and skating in the winter, and there was a pretty good sized lake by the name of Kempeska a few miles out of town where we fished, and there was also a ballpark nearby. During one outing at the lake, some older kids picked me up and threw me in the deep end of the lake. I didn't know how to swim at the time, but the survival instinct took over and I learned real fast. I remember when my mom found out about that, she was really angry. She wanted to know who the boys were that did that. I had no idea who they were or where they came from.